shortness of breath, feeling scared, waking up at the same time every night, not knowing or understanding, heart racing, especially when you haven't even ran a lap or been asleep. That's the scariest thing in the world. Well, I'm here to tell you that you're not alone and let you know what helps me and hopefully helps you. Okay, so the reason I'm doing this video is because I feel like it's well needed. I'm not the only one that deals with this, and I've come across a bunch of people that have dealt with it, and a lot of people around them don't even understand it. So for me, the very first time that it actually started with me was when I was a little girl. I didn't know what it was. My family didn't know what it was. They would just say, take deep breaths in and out, drink some water, calm down. And that happened to me about a good 4, maybe 5 times while I was a girl, say about 14 years old, somewhere in that area. And then I never really dealt with it again till I became grown. And I was at the age of like about 22, 23. I was back and forth from the hospital. I just know that I kept having nightmares, not bad dreams, but nightmares every single night, every night. And then it was to the point to where I couldn't even sleep at night. I didn't even want to be by myself at night. And it was to the point to where my heart was always constantly racing, just out of nowhere. My heart was just racing. Shortness of breath constantly, to the point to where I couldn't catch my breath, almost hyperventilating. I was back and forth from the hospital, and I just could not understand why. Mind y'all, I was dealing with a lot and going through a lot. I was ignorant to the fact of what was going on. And then the doctors would always tell me, oh, you're okay, you're fine, there's nothing wrong with you, we're going to send you home. And the whole time I'm thinking like, no, there's definitely something wrong with me, and y'all need to figure this out. So I just started doing my own research, trying to figure this out, because I'm like, you know, it sucks to not know what's going on with you, especially when there's something wrong. You know, that's the worst thing, to feel in the dark about something, especially something that's so serious. Anxiety can also lead to other things. First off, stress can lead to anxiety. So when you're stressed so bad, that can cause your anxiety. Also, what I learned is that anxiety is actually a mental thing. It's what you deal with mentally and emotionally, of course. And so with me doing my research, I found out that the heart racing was heart palpitations. And I'm like, that is exactly what my heart is doing. And you know, the doctors or no one never told me anything about heart palpitations. I wouldn't even have known that of that word, or that it even existed, had I not just did my own research. And these nightmares that I were having, they were happening so frequent and so often, to the point to where even during the day, I wasn't even sleeping. During the day, I wasn't even sleeping. I would have nightmares sometimes during the day. And these dreams were so horrific and just felt so real, to the point to not only did it feel real, but it felt like it was actually happening right then and there. And it was always something bad, of course, because those are nightmares. From something dealing with a demon to killings and stuff like that. It was just the worst thing ever. I didn't know what to do. I just knew I didn't want to go to sleep. Not only did I know that I didn't want to go to sleep, but it got to the point to where I felt like I couldn't even be by myself or be alone. Like, I really started feeling weak. I felt very weak, mentally and emotionally. So I was always wanting to be around someone during the day. Not even just at night, but it was during the day. I would wake up in the middle of the night when my heart would be racing, and my body would feel hot. Even if it was cold, y'all, I would just get hot out of nowhere. And I would just have to take all the covers off of me. Sometimes I would have to pace back and forth to help calm myself down. And sometimes that didn't even help. I would sweat, like my hands and stuff would start feeling clammy. And I'm like, there's got to be something more serious than just, anxiety. I didn't know anxiety could do so much and cause so much damage to your body, but it can. Sometimes I would even feel dizzy to the point to where I couldn't stand up or sit up. Sometimes I would lose feeling in my like in my hand or my arm or my foot or my leg. So not only was I not understanding all of these things and I was in the dark about it, but everyone else around me didn't know either. And on top of that, I couldn't even control it. So not being able to control something, not knowing and being in the dark and everyone else around you too, that's pretty big. And then on top of that, my family was just thinking like, oh, you'll be all right. You'll be okay. You just need to calm down. You just need to do this or do that. But it was so frustrating because it wasn't that simple and it wasn't that easy. Especially when the doctors wasn't even telling you nothing but, oh, you're okay, you're fine. Because I have gotten my vitals checked. It wasn't like I was having a heart attack or stroke. It wasn't like I had high blood pressure. It wasn't like I was completely healthy. There wasn't nothing wrong with me. I wasn't going back to the same doctor, so I was getting different doctors' opinions, not just at the ER, but at an actual doctor. So I'm like, there's definitely something wrong. Like, I don't know what it is, what to call it, nothing. And I really don't know if anybody in my family really dealing with it either. So that's why else I feel like they were taking it so light. I still struggle with anxiety, but it's not as often or as bad, and that's just because over time I've learned how to deal with it and to control it, not just on my own but with the help of God. I just wanted to let everyone know that who is dealing with it, that you're not alone, and that it can be a struggle, especially when no one else around you has dealt with it. Because like I said, I have had conversations about this with other people, and their story is similar to mine. Everybody's story isn't going to be like exactly the same, but there are some similarities. But like I said, I just wanted to really talk about this because it is a serious matter and something that should be taken serious and not just looked over just because you haven't dealt with it, or no one close to you haven't dealt with it, or just because you don't understand it. One thing that really did help me was my church family, and of course my family praying for me, with me, and me praying. What I realized, what I had to do is really start focusing on the positive things. There was a bunch of negative stuff going on at that time and even years prior to. And so I had dealt with a lot of stuff, a lot of negativity constantly. And I think everything that I had been dealing with prior and during just had caught up, and it all just turned into one big ball of stress and anxiety. I actually think I have a general anxiety disorder. I've looked that up. That really helped me a lot. I just had to start focusing on a lot of positive things, letting a lot of negative things go out of my life, change certain habits, and that really helped me a lot. And I noticed that I can be a very big sweet eater, like not necessarily pastries, but candy and ice cream and chips. I noticed that I can be a big eater on those things. Caffeine, which caffeine is in chocolate for those who don't know and think it's only in coffee, because I don't even drink coffee, but every blue moon I will. And sugar can really trigger, stress and anxiety. So if you eat sugars, you may want to cut back on that, as well as negativity, or even if it's a negative person in your life. You need to get rid of that negative person or people. I mean, you really have to start thinking more positive and keeping more positive energy and people around you. Your happiness is really what's it's all about, and really what matters the most. Don't feel bad about having to let certain habits, things, or people go, because you don't want to end up even more stressed out or end up with bad anxiety or whatever the case is. So I really had to change a lot of my habits into good habits, and a lot of my ways, make them better. It's also about some of the things that you eat on a daily can also trigger your stress and make anxiety, like sodas and stuff. Might want to cut back on that as well. When I started, and what helped me to start thinking more positive was when I started not just reading but actually studying Bible scriptures, and I would just replay them over and over in my head. You know, if I wasn't necessarily at home, but even when I would be at work and where it's found, that's what I would do. As soon as I started feeling like anxiety was coming on, I would just pray right then and there. If I couldn't get on my knees and pray, wherever I was, I would just pray in my head, say a silent prayer to myself. I just had to learn to start saying no to a lot of things and to a lot of people. If it would just break me down, I just didn't want nothing to do with it, just didn't want to be around it. So now in my life, I have a low tolerance to when it comes to a lot of things. Like, I would feel bad about a lot of stuff, but I learned to not feel bad. Especially, you know, having kids, and, you know, as some of you may not know, I have 2 girls and a boy. You know, especially after having kids and stuff, not just one, but having 3. You just start to not want to deal with it, put up with certain things, have a lower tolerance for stuff. And I'm glad that I am the way I am now. I don't feel bad, sorry, not sorry, but I had to take care of myself basically, and I wasn't doing that a whole lot. Really didn't know how, you know, in that aspect, because I knew how to take care of myself as far as drinking a lot of water, you know, ate vegetables and fruits and things like that. I even started exercising, and with me exercising, that helped relieve a lot of stress. And basically what you want to do is do things that will help relieve stress, which will then lead to you relieving yourself of the anxiety. Getting short of breath, you basically feel like you're about to die because you feel like you can't breathe. You're not getting any air into your lungs. That's how I feel. And so it's the scariest thing to have to deal with. So with that being said, I just wanted to share my story to help anyone else out, to let y'all, just to shed some light on the situation, because I see that it is becoming a big thing. If you know someone, or if it is yourself dealing with this, or even something similar, I want you to like this video. And then also comment down below some things that have worked for you, or just some suggestions that you know of that have worked for other people that you know that deals with this or something similar. And then also share this video to anyone that you may know who would like to hear about this, or that will definitely learn something from this, or whatever the case is. But at the end of the day, everyone should definitely do their own research, because I feel like some of it definitely can work for some people, but not necessarily everything. I just want to basically just help tell my story, and I can definitely do that with the help of you guys. Everyone that has watched this wants to help other people out. How I knew that it was anxiety that I was dealing with, when I kept waking up at the same time every night. I would, for like months straight, it was always at like 2 o'clock in the morning. And then for months, it was always at like 3 o'clock in the morning. It was always somewhere up in there. So sometimes I even thought that maybe I could beat it if I stay up till 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning and don't go to sleep till then. But that definitely didn't work. I'd be wide awake, and here comes the anxiety once again. But definitely follow these steps. Like I said, I would definitely eat healthy, exercise, think positive, keep positive people around you, love, keep all the love around you, and just focus on yourself. Pray. And you'll definitely see a difference when you stay consistent with it. Do it every day. Set goals for yourself. It'll definitely work.